This time we're going to call the meeting of April 7th, 2014 to order. Mr. Love, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Friend?
Here.
Councilmember Scatini?
Here.
Mayor Velasquez?
Here.
Councilmember Valdivia?
Here.
Councilmember Gomez?
Here.
City Manager Avra?
Here.
And City Attorney Sullivan?
Here.
Chief of Police Westrick?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Verification of agenda posting.
The agenda for the City Council regular meeting of April 7th was posted on the bulletin board at City Hall on April 2nd at 11:15 a.m. per Government Code Section 54954.2.
Thank you. City Attorney, is there anything you want to report out on closed session?
Yes, instructions were given to staff in how to respond to the letter from the firefighters union. And we will be doing that and meeting again the next meeting.
Thank you very much. Tonight we have a few proclamations. Financial Literacy Month, Sexual Assault Awareness Month, National Distracted Driving Enforcement Campaign. We have those groups here.
Oh, Holly McWhinney's right there.
Holly, you switch. You're playing tricks on me. Come on up, Holly. How you doing? So financial literacy is very important to the public. So we're going to proclaim April 2014. So let me move forward here. Now, therefore, I, Ignacio Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Hollister, do hereby proclaim April 2014 as Financial Literacy Month in the City of Hollister. Holly, want to say a few words?
Just want to say thank you for the proclamation, because we do want financial literacy to be the foundation of San Benito County moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't leave without that. Now we're going to move forward to Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
She's right behind you.
There you are again. You don't have heels you're going to make me wear again, do you? No. Okay. I, Ignacio Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Hollister, do hereby proclaim the month of April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in the City of Hollister and encourage all residents to support to end sexual violence. Thank you.
I'd like to start by thanking Councilmember Gomez and Mayor Velasquez for their participation this weekend on Saturday, April 5th at the Walk a Mile in Our Shoes. It was a great event. We had 200 different members from our community out there celebrating, walking, and unifying against domestic violence, sexual assault, and rape. And our men walked in solidarity to make sure that women in our community knew that men support them and that they're not alone in this strife. Sexual assault is an important issue in our community. Unfortunately, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually assaulted before the age of 18. And 85% of those will happen by someone the person knows. So it's always important that we continue to strive to raise awareness, to provide education, and to provide and work in partnership to support survivors. So thank you again for recognizing April Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think our city manager wore heels as well.
I saw him out there. I don't remember seeing those red heels on him, though. But he was out there, so did you wear them?
Yeah, my feet.
All right.
I'll show you my feet.
I'll show you my blister, too.
He brought his dress. He just didn't bring his heels.
We'll move forward to National Distracted Driving Enforcement Campaign. I, Ignacio Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Hollister, hereby proclaim April 7th through the 15th of 2014 as the National Distracted Driving Enforcement Campaign in the City of Hollister, and urge all citizens to always put the cell phone down, focus on the road, and buckle up when driving on our roadways. Drivers are reminded that if you drive and text, you will pay. Chief?
Thank you very much, Mayor and members of council. Today is the start of the campaign. We've never done this before. It is our hope to reduce incidents of collisions and other mishaps as it pertains to texting and driving. So we'd ask everybody in the public to please, this week and for the rest of their lives, to put the phone down. That one text or call can kill. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Let's move forward to Employee Service Awards for the first quarter 2014. Who's up first?
David Rubsick.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I would like to present Louis Aguilar with a 25-year pin. Louis has been with the city since and has survived the '89 earthquake, the boom of development, the sewer crisis, the recent recession, and the current recovery. Louis is an important member of the engineering department, and it's a pleasure to work with him. Louis?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and Council. I have the honor tonight to give Brett Miller his 5-year pin. I was talking to him a little bit ago, and I thought he was here a heck of a lot longer. It feels like he's been here a lot longer than 5 years. But as many of you know, Brett really is our right-hand man when it comes to all of our finances. He's very, very capable. There's an item on the consent agenda tonight acknowledging his efforts. We went through quite an extensive process to look to replace our former administrative services director. We had several really, really good candidates that applied. Through the process, we narrowed it down to 6. We had a good group of outside interviewers putting Brett through the paces. He unanimously came out first, so tonight there's an actual contract on consent for you to consider. But I think he's a tremendous asset for the community, and we are very, very fortunate to have him. One of the things that Brett does that a lot of us don't really get the ability to do is, but he is very well known at the state level. He's also very well known even at the federal level. So he puts a little bit of credibility into this organization, much like Chief Westrick. And so again, we're fortunate to have him, and I hope to have him for several years. So congratulations.
Don't we get a speech?
He's a numbers guy. You don't want to hear him talk.
He's depressing.
Good evening, members of council and mayor. I'd like to call up one of 4 that I'm honoring tonight. As you know, that our organization has many moving parts, and they all have to work together. And this first employee is an integral part of that. So Della, if you could come up here, please. Della Felice has been with us for 5 years. She works in the front. She is a PSO, which means she works in records. She has a very high-stress job. They have just absolutely ridiculous deadlines that they have to meet every day. And I want to publicly thank her for the job she's done this last 5 years, and hope she's here for many more years. Thank you. The next person I'd like to call up here has also been here for 5 years. She is also a PSO. Carolyn, if you come on up here, please. Carolyn, before she was an employee, was also a volunteer with the City of Hollister with the police department. And she does a lot of everything at our agency. In fact, she also does some of our work in our property room, which is, again, ridiculous deadlines as well. She's a part of that team that works up front, that those people that you see when you first walk into the police department. She's great to work with, and she's a real asset to our agency. So thank you a lot, and here's your 5-year pin. Next, I would like to call my a guy that I actually trained here on his first run. He's been here twice in the city of Hollister. He worked the first rally that I worked here years ago, and he's a veteran officer. It's Sergeant Ray Solano. Come on up here. Ray does a lot of things. He is our department's range master, does a lot of training. He's also been a field training officer with us as well, and has a lot of experience in other agencies as well. I mean, he's actually worked as many agencies as I have, and that's kind of ridiculous, actually. But we're still here alive, and we're old, but we're still good. So, Ray, I want to give you your 5-year pin. I think this is your second 5-year pin, right? Because he left, I think, right? Okay. All right. Last is Officer Matt Weiss. Matt Weiss came to us from the city of Los Banos. Matt's not in right now. He's actually a really busy guy working. I know the Gang Policy Committee actually heard him last week talking at all of the things that he does for our community and county as a whole. Very important part of our community, very important part of our agency. And I will take this pin, give it to him when he's at work next. I'm sure he's probably really tired right now. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hello, Council. I got 3 individuals here. I'll start with Charlie Bedolla. He's our division chief. Come on down, Charlie. He's our division chief. He started back in '92 as one of our reserves and worked his way up the rank. And in '99, he got hired full-time with us. And now he's our division chief, working in the fire marshal and operations. And he's been here with 15 years. He's also been one great training officer, too. The other 2 personnel is William O'Gean. He's one of our firefighters on C shift. He's a very hard worker. He's been with us for 15 years. He also had some reserve time on before he got hired. He's an excellent person. He's not able to be with us tonight. And Kenny Malin is right now on a call. He's from Station 2. He's the captain over there. Very tight ship he keeps over there at Station 2. He's a great captain. And he's also been with us 15 years, and he's hopefully doing well on the call right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. Okay, we'll move forward to item A, consent agenda. Are there any items council would like to pull from the agenda? Do we have any speakers that?
Yes, Mayor, I have speaker cards for several items. I will list them for you. A4.
A4,
A5,
A5,
A6,
A6,
A9,
A9,
A10,
A10,
A11,
A11,
and A12.
A12. Thank you very much. Is there a motion for?
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Let's move forward to item A4.
A4 is the annual request from the City Council to go out to bid for our legal notices. In the past, we have had more than one newspaper. Currently, and for the past several years, we have only one newspaper, but I have discovered that it's better to have a contract with the paper because then we have a set price for our legal publications and they don't charge varying rates, which could cost the city more. So this kind of holds the cost down for us.
Okay.
Speaker from Keith Snow. Chief O'Connor, I believe, has the microphone
Chief O'Connor, do you have the microphone?
for Keith
You
Snow.
can't go home with the microphone, Chief.
Thank you.
I can cancel that. That's one thing that once you guys overlook it, because why you hire another company to do things that circular makes a big salary, right? And she's a circular and treasurer. But why would you want to spend more money? So another example of waste of spending. It don't cost so much to do that. I mean, all this put in the paper called, I do articles once a month or a few times a month. So to do your math, I mean, why you can spend more money to do things yourself? As an example. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other speakers?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a motion from the
Motion to
council?
approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm
Motion-
sorry, who made the motion? Thank you.
Councilmember Gomez. Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Move forward to item A5.
Thank you, Mayor. As I mentioned earlier, this is a contract for the council to consider approving or authorizing the city manager to enter into a professional employment agreement with Brett Miller for the position of Administrative Services Director.
Thank you very much. Speaker on that item?
Keith Snow.
I'm a biscuit guy. Brett took Robert Calmon's position as Minister of Finance. And when I led to the email yesterday, but I ain't got nothing back, but I called the county to look it up for that position. I mean, everything should be open for the public. I mean, I really appreciate what it does, but I've been trying to one day you got a little smart, right? Because, for example, when you look at the city website, right, you cannot find nothing. You also there says you can find things, but you can't. I let the email last night again, right, because I need expenditures of all 2008, 9, 10, and all that. But I do got, right, and 12 and 13. No 14. I can't get 8. I can't get 9. I can't, you said make us a lot of money. So you know what? We can't provide that. I want to make a request, write to council, I'll pay out my own pocket. So like I said, 10 to the page, thousands, let's go from there. Because don't get mad money, matters about expenditures, and is there to find what's going on in the city more, because a lot of wasteful spending. So point is right, that's the reason why I need the packet. Said that. So for example, if you guys can please work together and nothing's wrong with the city, that's off. I said that's way off. But the can't that's off, yours behind and all that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion from the council?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. 5-0 vote. Move forward to item A6. Speakers?
Keith Snow. Keith Snow. Chief O'Connor.
On the item is you guys have to all work together as a team for what you guys say. And I mean, according to the city, do more work together, and you guys can do more. Think what you guys do. Like, for example, on April 3rd, you guys want to raise our taxes, and March 31st. 2 points, right? Why you guys raise tax to the people, and once you guys do a little more coordination, I mean, for example, as the city manager, what's going to be different from all the other city managers? Clint?
Can you keep on the subject, Mr. Snow, please?
Okay, once you got to work together as a team, right? And do things officially, okay, more professional, and coordinate and do work as a team. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion from the council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. 5-0 vote. Move forward to item A9. Mr. Speaker.
Keith Snow.
Right, again, like I said before, we guys want to raise taxes. Do you guys want to do?
Please
But
keep
what-
on the subject of the item, please.
What on the item is you have to work together as a team, and when you guys make a decision, other people, you can okay your rate anyway. So we're right say anyway, we're making that team to say anyway. So you guys put things on agenda, but feel free, you guys can talk
Please
about.
keep on the item on the agenda.
On the item in the agenda, when you guys do things, just be more professional.
Is there a motion from council?
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. 5-0 vote. Move forward to item A10.
Keith Snow.
On there again, like I said, on the agenda, what you wrote there, is about raising taxes, and you guys get paid on it, but on the A10, like the cameras and all that, and things you guys do, I like it, so like that.
Is there a motion from council?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. 5-0 vote. Move to A11.
Keith Snow.
At 11, right? So, like, on the agenda again, think about what you guys are doing.
Okay. Is
Motion
there a
to approve.
motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 5-0 vote. Move to item A12.
Keith Snow.
And you guys can talk, like I told Jerry, you guys not even talking on what you guys write on the agenda. And you guys supposed to say what about the agenda item. And she said you guys didn't do it. But like I said before, what you guys are doing.
Okay. Is there a motion from the council?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Move forward to item B1.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 5-0 vote. B2.
Motion to approve.
Good evening, council members. This is a resolution from the successor agency, and it would authorize the executive officer of the successor agency to execute grant deeds to complete a lot line adjustment for the 400 block and the Briggs building. It just appears there was an oversight back in 1995, and this is just finishing the process. Are there any questions?
I got a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Councilmember Scatini.
Mary, this, does the RDA actually owns that piece of property at this time? I'm on the assessor. I know, I understand, we had the meeting here last week. Do they own it right now?
The successor agency owns
Owns
part
it.
of, not where the building is, but there's a pedestrian plaza.
Okay.
And then there's also one piece of land within the 400 block that's technically still owned by the city. And so this is cleanup to get ready to dispose the property for disposition, and it would need to happen to clear title.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council?
Motion to approve.
Do you have any speakers first? No. There's a motion from Councilmember Gomez and a second from Councilmember Valdivia. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 5-0 vote. We'll move over to item C1, public input. This is the time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the city council. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Please note that state law prohibits the city council from discussing or taking any action on any item not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Joe Love.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I just wanted to get you brought up to date on what's going on with the Veterans Hall. The Veterans Hall, we've been working quite hard to get everything straightened out. We've painted the whole entryway inside the first foyer and the second foyer. We've painted the 2 front offices, and the VSO now has the 1 office all to herself for veteran service. And we're planning on trying to get more veteran service officers into the building. The office that the American Legion used to have is going to be used strictly for medical appointments for any veteran that comes to the VSO, and we have a veteran doctor there, either for psychological or for medical work. And so things seem to be getting a lot better for the veterans here in the community. And if what I like to see now is that we can get more backing into trying to find the veterans who are needing help, and have the city, help us out, and along with the county to help us out finding all these veterans out here that needs medical treatment, from psychological to medical work. And our goal for the next 3 months is to finish painting the rest of the building on the inside. If you walk into the building now, you can smell the fresh paint, and it's and the colors that was picked makes it feel a lot more warm. So at least your money's being used in the right place. Thank you.
We can't. No comments from council. Thank you very much for all you're doing over there.
Marty Richmond.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Marty Richmond from Hollister. First, let me just divert for a minute over what I was going to speak about, and encourage you to support Mr. Love's campaign, which will probably take some advertising and some work by the HHS at the county and the city to make sure that everybody knows that if you're a veteran, you're entitled to medical care. Many of these veterans are entitled to special program medical care, and they don't know it. And they won't know unless you direct them over there and they go see the VSO and they go see the proper thing. So step 1 is to get them in the system. So I hope you will support that when you get the chance. The item I really came to talk about, because I didn't know Joe was going to talk about that, is I want to encourage you to put the political heat on the Board of Supervisors concerning the fact that there is no county sales tax as a special tax in the unincorporated areas. So the richest part of this county, that's Aromas, that's Ridgemark, that is the North County area, and even Tres Pinos, whose average family income dwarfs that of Hollister or San Juan Bautista. If you buy gas there, you don't pay anything extra to the county. They have no special district. If you buy your clubs at Ridgemark, or if you buy them at San Juan Oaks, I'm not prejudiced either way. Or if you go down and spend money, we want tourism money. If they spend it in the cantina, or someone, whatever the cantina is called now, down in Tres Pinos, they're not collecting anything. And you know, they're using the excuse about how hard it is to make this arrangement. Well, you could put the heat on them by sending them a letter, bringing it, put on your agenda, sending them a letter saying, look, if you make the expiration date of your tax agree with with our Measure E expiration date, and if you agree to a tax sharing arrangement that will give us all our money back, please be my guest and tax the unincorporated areas of this county. Now, the other argument I've been getting from people is it's only $1.5 million a year. I mean, this is from a group of people who have been running an $8 million a year deficit for as long back as I can find the financial records. At some point, the bucket's going to be empty. They need that $1.5 million a lot more than I think they do, because they've been running in the red for at least 10 years. So you can put the heat on them by saying, we'll agree, you hit these 2 points, and we'll agree we will back you up. Now, there will be a $50,000 charge probably to put that measure on the ballot. But you know, for $1.5 million, I'd kick in 50 grand if it was up to me. They should do the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Reed Sanders.
Good evening, ladies. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the City Council. Though I know most of you already at some point, I'm here to formally introduce myself. My name is Reed Sanders. I'm here on behalf of State Senator Anthony Canella's office. I'm going to be, I am his new rep for this area. So I'd like to encourage you all officially to feel free to give me a holler. Any pressing needs for the city, your district, anything the state can do to address anything you need, I'm there. I believe I have some cards over there with Ms. Johnson. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, I just will give you this information now since Reed introduced himself. The city of Hollister actually received a Senate certificate of recognition on the transfer of the Highway 25 to us. And so this is from Senator Canella's office.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And it was a great day, too. Great turnout and plenty of dancing in the rain. Thanks again. My cards are up there. Feel free to give me a holler. Thank you again.
Thank you.
No more.
Do we have another speaker? We have one other person. I think we have somebody else who would like to speak.
Keith Snow?
No, go ahead and speak, and then you can fill out a card. Okay? Just go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Delia Gutierrez, and thank you for allowing me to come up. I'm here with a very serious and a very emotional topic. We have a serious, very serious problem in one of our streets in Hollister with gangs, illegal activity, unacceptable behavior. This is not a street that belongs to the citizens. It's a street that belongs to the Hollister gang. The drugs, the graffiti, and everything else that we read in that poster when you go to the police station. I would like for these young children here, young ladies, young men, to go to our police department where I was at Friday, hoping to talk to this handsome gentleman over here, but I can never. I've been trying to do that for 2 years. My husband and I, we're tired of it. There's senior citizens that live there that are original homeowners that cannot sit and bask in the sun in their chairs. There's children that live there that you do not hear playing in their front little tiny yards, or let alone in the street, like I was raised, like you were raised, playing kickball, hide and go seek, tag, whatever you want to say. You see these young men and girls playing, what is it called? When they hit the ball against that big old concrete wall, like they do in their prisons and in their jails, whatever. We're tired of it. I have tried to go to every agency, different members that I know from present to past in your board. I need help. I'm here to demand help from every agency that has a responsibility, starting with the cannery, San Benito Foods. I've tried to get in there to speak to the plant supervisor last year, this year. I've already sent an email to Neil Jones. I am ready to take this to, and this is from the core of my heart, to Channel 8. I don't want to do that. I don't want to disrespect anybody here. We need to work as a team. I am a citizen, and I read that sign Friday. I read it on TV. I read it everywhere. I read it online, Facebook, report crime, anonymously. I don't need to hide my face and my voice. I go in person and I see nothing. We can't live like that. I can't even hold a tenant for 3 days. I can't hold one, I can't even draw up a lease. Why? Why am I gonna lie and force people to live where they can't make a home? My husband and I work very, very hard. And we just do not just own that home. We provide homes for whoever needs a home. There are citizens in this town that you all know where they're living. Why? Because the landlords lost their homes or they personally lost their homes. I'm here, I can't even rent my house, it's empty right now. I need help. I need to bring this to the agenda to seriously involve the county, to put up lights, cameras, the city police department, to do their rounds, whatever it takes. Not go shake their hands and make them pour the beer bottles that they break 24/7 out there. That is not right. That is not right. Now, who of you here would like that in front of your house, to the side of your house? None of us would. There is signs in Starbucks where it says no rollerblading, no loitering. We need that along that cannery in all directions, east, north, south. They don't do that in front of the cannery office because there's cameras and there's signs. I need serious help, and I'm here to plead to this council, to all the agencies, to every citizen that cares, because you won't want them to move to your block. They call it the Hazel block. They tattoo it on their bodies. I feel for their parents. I seriously do. Now, my next thing is, I asked, and I will not stop till I get this. I want that street name changed. We need it. Every citizen there, every taxpayer, every child that is there, they cannot play there. Why? As a parent, what do you fear? Drive-bys? What are we gonna wait for? So we could start seeing Hollister like we do in Salinas? I don't. I can't rent my house and I can't even sell it. Thank you.
Thank you very much
Okay,
for having the
I would
courage
like
for
to,
coming out.
if I
You
may.
can't make a comment.
No, I just want to respond to something, okay? No, it's
Excuse
okay.
me, Councilman, can I speak? I'm here with, I'm accompanying Delia. It's this,
You
for the
can
same
speak
subject.
as another speaker, so you can have 3 minutes also.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
State your name, please.
My name is Virginia Ramos. I'm here also for the problem that Delia is talking about. I don't live on the block, but my mother does. But my concern is that this was once, myself and my family, we all grew up in this block. This was once a family-oriented block. It was all cannery workers with their families, supporting their families, working through the cannery. It was once, like Delia said, it was once the kids were always playing up and down the street. Now it's considered a gang-fested block. Now there's probably like 23 houses, and probably 3 of them are vacant. And out of probably 18 of these homes that do have residents, there's probably 8 of them that are senior citizens. Senior citizens that are 70-plus years. Some of them have a lot of medical problems. One of them has actually cancer. But the thing is, you know, we call the police and they say just keep on calling, but you know, eventually the senior citizens, they get tired. And I'm just here in concern with this problem. It's only growing. This is not something that just happened a year, 2 years. It's been going for at least 10. And what happens is they recruit and they just, the generations just, you know, keep going. And so I'm here also that I would like to see this block either putting no loitering signs, something's got to be done, because the problem's not going to go away. Eventually what's going to happen is people are just going to move away and just leave the homes vacant there. And you know, what's happening is we're just giving the block to them. None of these kids live on the block, mind you, but they just come, whether they come after school, they come instead of going work. I mean, this is like either I spoke to them, I asked them, what are you doing here? What is your purpose? They say, well, we own the hood. This is our hood. And I don't know what else to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out. Appreciate it. Do we have any other speakers? Keith Snow. Please fill out your card again too, Keith.
Thanks, Council. See, you can see example of what we need in the city. If you guys hire a campaign officer for the community, and I mentioned to Electric before about Neighbor Watch, or when it happened, you got money for that program. You have money for program for another officer. Then why can't we have more money? It's called Wildlife. Wildlife is it's the same like a Neighbor Watch, and it's per program. It's volunteers with city. If you got to look at this, I know you guys have vehicles in the yard over there, and we volunteer can monitor with the walkie-talkie and all the gang areas and report what they see. The point is right. We don't do that. So it's called use the head. And we don't do it in the city. There's a lot of things we need. I mean, a lot of things. If you look at my website, I know you guys look at my website because I've been looking at my website, I'm not saying no name or nothing. If you can look at my website, I have everything. Homeless people, the problem in the city, I did that 4.5 hours. 4.5 hours, I've solved that problem. All the problems are solved in the city, need to be done in the city. But the point is right, you guys worry about salaries, city workers give rewards. You reward people, that's good. But the point is right, you get rid of people that do things. For example, Measure E, Victor, you said Measure E committee, go over it, $3.4 million. When you guys ever gonna use, was it cover-up? Because that's my cover-up. You guys want to do things on General Morris mentioned, or we want raise tax in the city, people can't afford that. People can't afford the water bill. You guys, someone's paying for sewage. But this city is more money, highest in the state of California for sewage. Well, water bill is high. It's ridiculous. It's called 3-in-1, water, garbage, and sewage. So that's why I'm going for this.
Thank you, Mr. Snow.
Thanks.
Okay, this time we'll move to item D1, update on tobacco education.
Okay. It's warming up. Okay. Thank you. Good evening, City Council members, Mayor. Thank you for having me here. It's kind of crooked. Okay, my name is Ofelia Toledo Prieto, and I'm a health educator for the Public Health Department. I've been working for the Public Health Department of the county for about 13 plus years, with this tobacco program about 2 years. Let's see, I'm not sure how to do this. City Council members, let me turn this over here. Smoking and kids just don't mix. Tobacco smoke harms our health of our children. I'm going to give you a little bit of history. I did provide some booklets up front, and just to share with you that I did meet with some of you about a couple years ago individually about this issue that we have here in our I work closely with the child care providers and also with the program as far as educating on the second and third hand smoke. Okay, what we know currently, the state law, health and safety, is that licensed family daycare providers must provide smoke-free environments in their business 100% of the time, 24 hours a day.
Studies show that smoking particles linger in the air for up to 2 weeks and can expose to children, and also health risks. A couple years ago, back in September 2011, our local state health officers, licensed family child care providers, our county staff, concerned community members, and as well as our coalition, we proposed to ban smoking in child care facilities or environments for 24 hours every day, 7 days a week. On November 7th, the City Council chose not to pass this ordinance due to enforcement concerns. Our council members were in favor, all council members were in favor, but council members voted against this ordinance because of another ordinance that will be probably in the books and not without enforcement. What we are asking of our council members tonight in San Benito County, our coalition, that we would like our council members to revisit this smoke-free environment in child care facilities. Why? Because cigarettes smoke is unhealthy for our children. Currently, there's a link between smoking and asthma. We know 12.9%, 1 in 8 children in our county have asthma. There's a link between smoking and sudden infant death syndrome, or else other words known as SIDS, is directly correlated with third-hand smoke and smoke that lingers in our air, furniture, and carpet. Smoking can cause colds, coughs, and ear problems in children. Most of us may not know about third-hand smoke. Third-hand smoke is the particles, again, like I mentioned, that lingers in furniture and toys and whatnot, and children are crawling and maybe grab their toys and put them in their mouth. And that can cause serious effects for children's growth and development. Smoking hurts our most valuable population, our children. We know that it may cause pneumonia, ear infection, lung damage, asthma attacks, and also could cause allergies. Okay, I had mentioned about third-hand smoke. About 2 years ago, I actually visited 103 daycare providers here in San Benito County. And I came and shared with them about this voluntary policy that I have here in my hands. There's a sample. And they each signed it. So I have 103 signatures here of daycare providers that signed this voluntary smoke-free in their child care facility 24 hours, 7 days a week. So they want to have, they're very concerned about the well-being of the children in their facility. Progress made so far in our county. I've been fortunate to meet with Assemblymember Luis Alejo personally and also with his staff, and regarding this development in statewide policy prohibiting smoke-free childcare. And he hopefully will bring this into the state level, and he's very advocate and would like to move forward on this. Public Health or Tobacco Program provides technical assistance to all child care providers as far as any materials or signs or in regards to second and third-hand smoke. Go Kids is also one of our coalition members, and they actually provide to the residents that if they receive this program, if they would like a non-smoking facility. First Five San Benito also incorporates tobacco education to their continuing education CARES program for newly licensed child care providers. With this, I would like to invite a public health nurse and other coalition members as well as child care providers that like to speak about this issue.
Hi. Try and get this down here for me. My name is Peggy Schwartz, and I'm a resident here in City of Hollister. I'm also a public health nurse here in San Benito County. I'm the coordinator for the Mother, Child, Adolescent Health Program, which is the MCH, and that's why I'm directly involved in this type of program. As a public health nurse, prevention is a key to protecting the community and the many different populations that call this community home. One of the communities that I'm here to speak about is the community of the child who goes into an environment for childcare because the parent drops them off because they have to go to work. It's an environment that they don't really have much of a choice to control as far as what they breathe and what they don't breathe. And we know that second and third-hand smoke does linger in the home. And even though the child isn't exposed directly to the smoke during that time of their child care visit, when the child goes home and there is smoking in that facility, when the child comes back the next day, they are exposed. This special population has asthma as a chronic condition. It's something that they have, something that can be controlled with the right environment, but also too with their medications. In 2009, there were 415 deaths in California that occurred because of asthma. And I brought up 2009 because we did have, out of all of how big California is, we did have a death here in San Benito County from a child, a third grader, who died of an asthma attack. We do know that this child was born and raised here, lived in a home environment where he was exposed daily to second and third-hand smoke. While he was being cared for after school, he was playing with his friends, and he did have an asthma attack. Not able to be treated with his typical usual medication, 911 was called. The fire department, our fire department, EMT, and even the ER at Hazel Hawkins did try to help him, did try to give him the necessary protocols, and he did end up dying. And it did have a rippling effect to the teacher, to the students, to the parents, and to the community. And so I'm here to ask that the proposal for the smoke-free child care policy be revisited and hopefully implemented here in San Benito County for not only the special population of kids with asthma, but also for the other kids, so then that way they can also have clean air to breathe. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Lynette Jewett, and I'm a child care provider for 3- and 4-year-olds, as well as a foster parent. And I implement I think it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I started with this voluntary policy and made sure the parents knew there was no smoking, 24 hours. And children that are in my care, I prefer them not to be around smoke. My kids went to child care. They had ear infections constantly because there was smoke. Now I have a child that I'm raising, and he was around smoke and had asthma, and he has not been on an inhaler since he's been in my home. So I see the difference. The parents that are coming into my program, they like it. Their kids are not around smoke, and there's no secondhand smoke around them as well, or third-hand smoke, which I didn't know about until I learned about this whole program, about secondhand smoke and third-hand smoke. So I just want to tell you the benefits of this program has helped in my program to make everyone aware, and I have a sign up that states no smoking. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Hewitt Joyner, and I'm the project director at Breathe, California. I'm here to talk about an ordinance and enforcement. I've been working for the past 5 years in Santa Clara County. We've helped create and enforce 15 different smoke-free ordinances. And I'm here to say, if you create an ordinance, you don't necessarily need to be enforced. So let me say this. We at Breathe, California actually helped the city of San Jose enforce their multi-unit housing ordinance by accepting all complaints from any citizen within the city of San Jose who see that there's a violation of that complaint. Once there's a violation of that complaint, I myself go out and I investigate that complaint to make sure it's legitimate. Once I investigate the complaint, then I issue the apartment managers, landlords, a letter stating
that there is an ordinance that states that you're not allowed to smoke in multi-unit housing. If you violate this ordinance 2 more times, then I will send this information to code enforcement for penalties and fines. We have not had to get code enforcement involved in any penalties and fines for the simple fact of the warning letter works. If you can get a group like San Benito County Coalition to actually investigate any complaints, then that would help out with the enforcement. The second piece of that is the enforcement acts as a catalyst for future child care providers to say, oh, there's an ordinance. We automatically have to go smoke-free. If you don't have an ordinance based by the city, then certain people are going to try to figure out how they can get around with the kids aren't here, I can smoke. I don't think that's correct. I definitely don't think it's the right thing to do. And as a professional who works in smoke-free environments, it is deadly for any juvenile. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just want to share a daycare provider that was unable to be here. Eva Flores Perez Daycare, she had a situation with a grandparent who would drop off her grandson daily at her child facility. This particular grandma smelled like secondhand smoke and other substance. The child would come to the facility and their clothes would also smell like secondhand smoke. Through the public health tobacco program, provided some information, pamphlets and material and signage for this one individual, childcare. And luckily the grandma was cooperative and she handled the material nice. And with this also, I just want to share that the child constantly had ear infection, and but luckily the issue is being resolved. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions from council?
Yeah, I do. I have a question for you. I was on the council when we voted that time to not pass that ordinance. How many, right now it's on a voluntary basis, right, with the people in Hollister?
Right.
In this county?
Right.
How many have signed up for a volunteer to keep non-smoking?
Child care providers?
Yes.
So currently we have 103 that signed this policy, this voluntary policy.
Okay. And the 103 that volunteered to keep it smoke-free, how many violated that, do you know of?
At this point, none. They've been consistent in educating our community, our parents, in regards to having smoke-free. They all are not smokers, which is a good thing, and they did have some history as far as their spouse, but during this time, at that point, their spouses had already quit, but no one smokes at this point.
Okay, great. Does somebody check up on them?
I do. I actually do yearly visits, observational surveys. So I stop in, not knowing, not making appointments. I come in and I visit their facility and just ask them questions and look around, smell, and see if there's any smoke. But everybody has been okay in welcoming me.
That's great. I'm a non-smoker, never in my whole life, never smoked, and I've certainly, you know, I'm with you 100% on smoke for kids.
Perfect.
For sure.
And every year we have new providers, new daycare providers that are being licensed. So we want to make sure we enforce that every year because new people are coming in our county and stuff. Perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Gomez?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say thank you to Ophelia. I know that we sat down and we chatted a few years back. And that was one of obviously our biggest concern. I don't think at that time, I don't remember anybody up here on the council not supporting some kind of ordinance that to put on the books, but just like every other ordinance, we just need to make sure that we have the enforcement tool behind it. Is this something that the county currently does in unincorporated areas?
Well,
has the county, has the Board of Supervisors approved this?
You know, we haven't yet brought it to their attention, and that would be the next step, to bring it to their attention, and definitely that would be a good support from both ends.
Okay. Out of these, and thank you for the testimony from the daycare providers. I think that's very important to hear from them. Unfortunately, obviously, we're not going to hear from the ones that don't want to cooperate, but out of the 103, you mentioned 103 that are on a voluntary agreement, how many do we have? How many daycare or child care service providers do we have out there in the county? How many do we have in total?
You know, I updated and I looked through my list. At this point, we have roughly about 125.
Okay.
125.
And we've made, you've made communication with the others?
At the others, we made phone calls, but yet we haven't gone and visit and actually asked to sign this policy, which my goal is to do by June of this year.
Okay, so, and the young man that from Breathe, California, you mentioned about, you know, writing letters when you heard that folks were not following the ordinance or the policy, the written policy. Do we have something here locally? I'm very familiar with
I could draft something for him.
Do we have somebody that could send those letters and somebody that could actually enforce that? So if that's something that the county's willing to step up and say, hey, before we send it to your code enforcement division, we're willing to take the preliminary steps, because I think that's good. That's a really good idea. I didn't hear it last time we talked about this, so I'm happy to hear that there's, you know, ideas out there, you know, to possibly prevent from sending our city staff to have to deal with this.
So maybe like mentioning, like public health would probably enforce or
Yeah,
do
is
some kind
that-
of observational visits or so? Yeah.
Yeah, is that what you're saying, that if there is information out there that, hey, somebody may be smoking in the home, is San Benito County Public Health going to be sending letters? Is that's what I'm asking?
We could. I would have to check my activities and see if it's possible, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's good to hear. 2 years ago, I mean, like I said, the biggest issue that we had up here as a council, and you're right, everybody did support it. I mean, everybody was on board. I'm not a smoker either. I want to make sure that my children, when in daycare, that, you know, obviously they have a healthy environment to be in. And thank you for what you do. I work for the city of San Jose, and it's very important with your partnership with so many communities up there is very important, the partnership your organization has up there. But I think I'd be willing to step forward and say, hey, yeah, we should consider adopting an ordinance like this.
Yes.
But like I said, I just want to make sure that our enforcement mechanism is there. So hearing a commitment from the county, it would have been nice to have the, I'm not going to lie, it'd be nice to have the Board of Supervisors, since you're county, it would have been nice to have the Board of Supervisors kind of say, hey, take the initiative to do this.
Okay.
But obviously, we hold 2/3 of the population of the county anyway, so, you know, maybe we should be the ones setting the example. But, you know, I just think that if we have commitment from you folks to take those preliminary steps, and maybe we could hear in that time frame from our code enforcement officers or division to see if we have the resources there or the cost recovery as well to enforce something like this, then I'd be willing to support this. So I just want to make sure that all those bases are covered.
Perfect.
But thank you, Ophelia. Appreciate all the information. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Friend?
Yeah, I was also here. I remember a couple of the arguments. One of the arguments that, if I remember right, was the way the ordinance was written. It restricted people from smoking within a certain distance of the child care center. That meant that the neighbors had to be smoke-free. And I don't think it's right for the city, and I'm really glad to hear your volunteer program is
That is an issue out there. I get a lot of child care providers.
Now we have an issue with, if the child care center is in a cul-de-sac, and there's 5 other houses in that cul-de-sac, according to the way the ordinance was written the last time, all 5 of those houses had to be smoke-free because of the distance. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that was one of the problems that we heard from the neighbors of the people that were going to open up this child care center. I'm really happy to hear that your voluntary thing, you've got 80% of them signed up. Part of the other argument was also people make choices if they don't have a problem with their children going to a child care center where there are smokers, that's their choice.
Right.
You know, sometimes you can't dictate people's choices, but I'm glad to hear your volunteer program. And I don't have a problem revisiting it. I'm just saying, when you write the ordinance, please be respectful to the neighbors and the people that are doing this. because it may not be an issue today, but if my neighbor tomorrow decides that they want to be a child care provider, great, I don't smoke, but, you know, that may say somebody doesn't want to buy my house because they may be smokers. You know, I know there's got to be a balance here somewhere.
Sure.
So it's just how that was approached. So I think it'd be easier to get the county to do it because they don't have the issue with so much with houses coming straight out. Thank you.
Something to
Okay.
look forward. Thank you.
Councilmember Valdivia?
Yeah, I also wanted to say that I think I would support an ordinance also, and it would be wonderful if the Board of Supervisors would take the lead. But whatever happens, I think that between the county and the city, I think something can come up and we can work together on it. And I don't know if you can bring that up in your meetings with the the government meeting that you have with them? Because it's an issue, I mean, that we could work together on it. So I would definitely support a resolution. I know we tried in the past, but things fell by the wayside. But
Right.
thank you for coming, and I thank all the rest of the folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the question I would have is, going back to the point Councilmember Friend was making, it's single-family house, but I thought I heard something about the townhomes. Is that where it's trying to be more restrictive right there? I could see the effect of a townhome, a neighbor really having an impact.
Correct. We've had issues where an apartment person would call and complain, and then the drifting smoke would go next to it.
Childcare, though? I know,
No.
we're talking about
we
neighbors
don't.
here.
Yeah, all our child cares are smoke-free.
Okay.
But as far as that issue, I do agree with you, council member. When you're talking about drifting smoke, you can't regulate that. So thinking about when you're writing the ordinance, specifically for that particular environment, and if the kids are inside, then the smoke's not going to bother them. So when we're dealing with the multi-unit housing in all the different cities, we only deal with the particular complex, not the adjacent complexes. If those two are dealing with each other, meaning we had a situation where a person was flicking cigarettes on the other side of the fence. Rude, of course, but not against the ordinance. So basically, I would go in and have a conversation with the management and let them know what is and what is not a part of the ordinance and what you can and cannot do.
Okay, thank you. So as I heard it tonight, Councilmember Gomez would like to bring this back, put it on a future agenda. And Valdivia?
Yeah, I think.
All of you? So it sounds like all the council members like to bring this back
Yeah,
on a future agenda.
and the points that were addressed to be considered when visiting the ordinance.
Absolutely. Move that forward in the future. In future council meetings. Thank you very much for coming out. All right, I know a lot of you students are here for the hour. So you can hang out for another 5 minutes, or you can run out the door real quick. What's your choices? All right, that's what I like, an audience that wants to stick around. We'll be done in a few minutes here. All right, item E and F, there is no business. G, reports from City Council. Committees, Councilmember Gomez.
Yeah, I do have a report out on COG. I just want to report out that the Council of Governments did let's see here. We did release the draft regional transportation plan for the county. It's going to be up. It's up for public review. It started March 21st through April 21st, and we do have a hearing set for next week for those that are interested. A couple of updates with San Benito County transportation projects, and I'll start off with the Highway 101 San Juan Road interchange project. Because of the lack of rain, the project is actually ahead of schedule. It's supposed to open December of 2014. The major bridge structure over 101 has been completed. The bridge is now being used to transport the material from the west to the east side, and the major drainage systems have been completed as well. So we're getting pretty close to seeing that project completed definitely before the end of this year, obviously. And then the Highway 156 project, everything is still in line to move forward. The expansion of Highway 156 between San Juan and Hollister, the new 4-lane expressway. The project design is ongoing, and right-of-way appraisals are in progress. So it is scheduled to begin in the summer of 2017, which sounds 3 years away, but it's actually come a lot faster than we think. So I just wanted to give an update on those 2 projects.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Valdivia.
None to report.
Councilmember Scatini.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on COG. Since Victor gives a report, he's asked first. I have not much to say, but I can say, no, that's okay. What I want to say that Caltrans is, as far as the irrigation of the flowers and the plants along the state highways, they're cutting back on it and using the water beans. That is the water situation is pretty bleak now, so they're trying to get plants that don't require so much water, and that's what they're going to be looking at in the future on the highways and freeways, the flowers.
I do want to add to that. Thank you, Councilmember Scatini. I did forget to mention also that so the San Juan Road interchange project will more than likely open, and it'll open with no landscaping. So because of the drought situation, Caltrans will be delaying any landscaping work to any new projects until the state feels that it's adequate time to install all the landscaping and start using some water. So thank you for reminding me, Councilmember Scatini.
Thank you for, you're welcome.
Anything else, sir?
On committees? No.
Okay, Councilmember Friend.
That was only committee.
I have 2 quick reports. One is on the rally team. We had a team meeting that the chief hosted 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, with all the key players. Downtown Association, Mark was there. Law enforcement, fire, city services, Clay was there. Finance was there, and it seemed like this year we have a very good plan. It's all seemed to be coming together. I didn't see any glitches in the program at the time. Mark is still adjusting the layout. The layout's going to be a little different than it was last year, a lot more expanded. And he probably will be reporting out here in the next 1 or 2 council meetings on the layout, on how Sally Street's going to be impacted, how East Street's going to be impacted, 6th to 4th to Monterey. He's got that all. He's got the preliminary drawings, and he's just tweaking it a little bit now in some areas. And from what I saw at the meeting, everybody's cooperating, working together, doing a very good job. So I think it's going to be another success. The other report I have is on the 400 block improvement. Next council meeting, there will probably be something on the agenda for approval by the city council on the first stage of that plan, and then we're working on getting public input on the type of plaza usage that we're going to use for the 400 block, and then we'll probably be bringing back a report in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you very much. On my committees, I was allowed to visit or attend the gang task force meeting. Councilmember Valdivia couldn't make it, and I'd like to report that it's good timing tonight, that there are some new strategies that are going to be implemented here, and I guess we could talk a little later. I can update you on some of that. But I was pleased to see the new ideas coming forward that were borrowing ideas from different cities that have used them, borrowing some of their ordinances, so we can be in legal compliance on the strategies that are coming up. So we're going to be really going after this issue in a way that legally we can do it. And that's really the public needs to understand that a lot of times the toughest part is doing things in a way that we can legally do it. So I wanted to thank the chief for and Officer Weiss for their work on bringing that forward. On our fire committee, we hired 12 new firefighters, if you haven't heard. And if you're interested in a career in fire, I would highly recommend all of you young people to get out there and apply to be a reserve firefighter. These 12 new guys were reserves a few months ago, had no idea that we were going to be hiring 12 firefighters, and by being in the right place at the right time, they now have careers as firefighters, which is a big deal. When you try to apply as a firefighter anywhere, you're going to see 500 people in front of you. So doing it this way is a great way to do it, and you can actually start as an explorer if you're under 18. So some of you here from the high school, you can take advantage of that. And we also talked about, and this is all intergovernmental, we also are continuing our work on the homeless situation. The county is submitting a proposal for a grant so we can address this homeless issue, and we've been very aggressive over the last several months to get this thing done. A lot of good plans in place, and hopefully over the next several months we'll finally see those plans implemented. Those are my reports as far as intergovernmental. Let's move forward with any other reports from City Council on any activities that they want to talk about. Councilmember Gomez?
No, I just want to thank Jerry for signing us up for the Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. It was a great event. We had a really good time, and it was nice to see our firefighters out there, our city manager, and of course our mayor out there as well, spreading the stuff around the streets of Hollister. So it was a great event, and obviously I was happy to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Valdivia?
Yeah, I have two things I want to bring up. The first issue I want to bring up, the first thing is the issue about the street that we spoke about, the Hawkins Street, and I brought that issue up in our, if you can recall, in our meeting last week, when we had the retreat, and how it needs to be addressed. And looking at this could be a start of a good thing. So what I would like to do is have staff put this on the agenda so we can continue to get the reports and look and see how this issue is being addressed. And also, I saw that Chief gave Delia a copy of the card, so in the future, if we need to communicate with them in a meeting or something, but I do want this on the agenda if the City Council would support this. I think it's really important. And like I said at the meeting last week, I mean, I think it's really unfortunately it's taken some time ago, because this has been going on for quite some time, and I apologize for that. But you know, we will be working on it. I really, you know, hopefully that we will get some good results out of this, so we can clean up the street. I think it's really important for the people that live there. So that's what I would like, is to have
on a future agenda. Can we
yes,
look at the idea of the name change, and maybe the speaker can round up the
that
neighbors?
could be part of it, but we need to look
round
at
up the neighbors to get a petition signed in time for the agenda.
Okay.
So that's for a future agenda.
Okay, and then also the other thing I want to report on is I went to the 2012 Musical Festival. It was wonderful. It was at the high school, and I just want to commend all the different groups from the different schools, which included the high school and Rancho, and also the smaller grades, and then Rancho Maze. I think it was awesome. They played very well. One thing I was noticing is I admire the parents for allowing their children to participate in this. Sometimes it could be a burden, you know, and I'm pretty sure that there's folks that, you know, can afford to buy an instrument. Some people can't. They can rent them or borrow them, whatever. And I think it's really great, because this is another thing that helps our students from having an activity and not having them involved in anything outside, you know, like street stuff. This is something for them to do, and the kids were all excited. I just wanted to share that with you. It was wonderful.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Scutini.
Yes, today I had a chance to talk to Delia about her problems on Hazel Street, and I can assure you that we were going to do something about it. I told you at that time, and now since you came and spoke tonight, and I think the council and the chief of police and the mayor has a good read on it, okay? The second thing I want to talk about is this weekend it came to my attention that the city, I asked our city manager if he could look into an ordinance with our city attorney on loud music at night. This weekend, I happened to be at a house where there was a boombox. And anybody that don't know anything about a boombox, it's that big bong, 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 right across the street from this house that I was at. And it went on from the people that were drinking beer from 10 o'clock in the morning till 10, 11 o'clock at night, and they were all drunk, and there was about 15 of them there. And the boombox kept going. Finally, I called the police department, and Chief Westrick had one of his officers, sergeants, came out and went and talked to the people. And so as soon as they talked to the people and left, 2 minutes after that, they started up again. And so I'm asking that we look into the ordinance, come up with an ordinance, because in talking to the chief, he had about 5 or 6 that same night, late at night with loud music. And on a Sunday night, or any night as far as that goes, but on a Sunday night when people are resting and have to go to work the next morning, go to school, whatever, it's very disturbing, and it sure gets under your skin real fast.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have we do have a noise ordinance, don't we?
Yeah, we're going to update it, though.
There's request to review the noise ordinance.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So we'll
'Cause we
put
do
that
have one.
on a future agenda.
Any kind of noise.
Okay. Councilmember Friend?
No, I have none.
I'd just like to report I was fortunate to attend the Marine Corps Jazz Band from San Diego. They came out to play the other night. Really a special treat to have that kind of quality come to our community. And obviously the swearing in of the firefighters. And of course I got to walk around town in my high heels. So it was a good week. All right. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Real quick, I want to thank the department heads, their supervisors, their support staff, and then also the Administrative Services Department for Brett's time and his support staff. We've gotten kind of through the initial part of the budget for next fiscal year. I think there's some fine-tuning that needs to be done, but we're getting close to having something prepared, and we'll start talking to you folks about dates on study sessions. But I feel like it's important for me to at least just kind of at least throw out the initial numbers. The general fund numbers, and not that the general fund is any more or less important than any of the other funds. I'll take the same approach with the general fund as I do with all the enterprise budgets. I think they're all important. I know that there's been some criticism in the past about not looking at some of those enterprise accounts as closely as, say, the general fund, but the general fund is obviously the one that's probably most near and dear to most people's hearts because it includes the police and fire budgets. As Victor kind of alluded to at our retreat, it's frustrating, obviously, from his perspective, that he's been on the council for as long as he has, and he's never had the real opportunity to provide tools or additional tools to the fire and the police departments that will, essentially make their jobs a lot easier. And just out of the 4 major categories, which we'll be talking about how we go through the budget process this year, maybe a little bit different than years past, maybe not. But as far as the expense is concerned, we have personnel, we have services and supplies, contractual, and capital. And just in those categories, 73% of our general fund budget is really personnel, and it's contractual. And there, once again, there's not a lot of discretion from the council's perspective because it really is contractual. What we have tried to do this year with the actual contractual category of our budget is really have those be contracts that the city has with individuals or individual companies or firms. Sometimes it got a little bit confusing here and there about what was just a professional service and what was actually truly a contract. I don't think we've got them all cleaned up yet, but that's the goal, is to really have true contracts. And then capital is obviously, since we don't have a ton of money, it's a very small portion. So again, out of that 100% of the general fund, we have 73 that's personnel. We have 14% that's contractual. We have less than 5.5% that's actual capital. So the remaining is a little over 12% is really our service and supplies. And when it gets right down to it, which equals about $2.1 million, is where the discretion of the city council has for us to operate our department. So that's just kind of a quick overview. With that, I would like to move on to one of our staff members here at the City of Hollister, Mary Paxton, was on a little trip in Oregon, picked up a map of Central Coast tourism, Central Coast California tourism, and noticed that there's essentially nothing about Hollister mentioned whatsoever. So what she has been doing over the last couple months is we are now part of that organization. Our name is on the map. We have prepared, we had some help, and we were preparing some part to our tourism website. I will, once this gets all finalized, I'll send it to you before it gets loaded up, but we're hoping that it becomes not only a part of the city's website, but it actually ends up being a part of a site where if you search Hollister or tourism, that's the first thing that pops up. We have our events, we have all the things that we can do, the wineries. It's not necessarily specific to the city of Hollister. It kind of is a county thing. So, you know, I know it's one of our goals to start really pushing and promoting tourism over the next couple of years with the pinnacles and everything else that we have to offer folks. And so that's kind of our goal. And I'd like to, you know, just send a real quick shout out to Mary and thank her for our help, because we may not be on the big map yet, but we're getting on some little ones. So,
Okay.
And that's it.
City Attorney?
Nothing, Your Honor. Or
Chief of
Mayor.
Police?
Yeah, two things.
Keep you out of trouble.
Delia, I want you to know that you have a partner in us. And we're going to work as a city to help you and the rest of the residents on that street become hometown USA. Okay? This week I have the honor of going down to Ontario to represent the City of Hollister and its police department to accept the National Chief of Police of the Year award from that organization at WETIP. This is followed by, in 2013, the police department actually being honored with the National Police Department of the Year. So I think we have a good thing going in our city. A lot of good stuff happening, and this is one of those things that hopefully reap benefits for years to come. And I'm honored that I can represent the city in receiving this award. So I'll get that on Friday, and I'll make sure I'll bring it back to this city so we can display it and honor it. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk?
Nothing really except to thank you and City Manager Rivera for participating in the Walk a Mile. It really is.
Councilmember
great-
Gomez. He was
Sorry,
my
I
part.
meant you, plural.
He held me up half the way, so that's
Well,
good.
that's good. It really is a good event, and certainly for a great cause and awareness. And I mentioned the certificate from Senator Canella's office, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Okay, students, at this time, it's about 8 o'clock, so we're going to let you run out here, get your paperwork signed in the back before we move to the next item. We'll take 5 minutes here.
Just a lot of kids.
A lot of kids. I know that 8 o'clock is late for them.
I know. Thank you.
Hey, Jaime, before you leave tonight, I want to talk to you, okay? Don't leave.
You tell him, Rob.
Supervisor Doug.
Did he walk also in that room?
What I'm going to do, I only have like 2 seconds to say something, and then I'm going to. Oh, okay. We're going to try to pass it off.
You guys ready? Hold on, sir. You guys ready?
Oh, sure.
Sorry, I didn't mean to turn you off.
I know it's in 5 minutes, but they're out the door.
Yeah, that's good.
Move on. Okay, let's resume the meeting and move on to item G3, TOT.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we get, as we kind of start this discussion, I really only have a few things to say. Brett helped me out a little bit ago with the numbers of the amount of tax increment. I'm sorry, tax dollars that are collected through the TOT process over the last several years. So just by order of magnitude, around '09, it was about 119. The high year was in 2012 at 128. So far to date, we've collected a little over $88,000. So we should be hitting pretty much that same number, around 125, 126, somewhere in there, if you prorate it out based on the recent numbers. So with that, I know Councilmember Gomez had an interest in looking at the TOT, and so I'm here to answer any questions about what my knowledge is, which is not more than what Councilman Scatini and Councilman Ignacio, Mayor Velasquez has from the Intergovernmental Committee meetings. But so we can just have this kind of start as a regular general discussion.
Okay. Councilor Gomez? Councilmember Gomez?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you adding this to the agenda. You know, I know that over the past 6 months to a year, there have been multiple discussions out there when it comes to the transient occupancy tax, and you know, I've had multiple discussions with people inside and outside of the city of Hollister and the rural areas of the county, and obviously we understand that most of our attractions are outside, though the city puts together some pretty awesome events as well to attract tourism here in the city of Hollister and San Benito County. So I know that and you know, you could feel free to cut me off anytime, Mr. Mayor and Councilmember Scatini, because I haven't been in those discussions with intergovernmental, so I don't know what the county's thoughts are, but obviously the county has had these same discussions when it comes to the raising the TOT tax, or looking into their business improvement district, or with the hotels and all that good stuff. But you know, I've kind of heard mixed messages out there, and I'm pretty much at the position now that you know, I think looking into and really studying the increase in the TOT taxes is definitely a discussion that we have to have as a city. So whether the county decides to jump into this discussion or not, you know, that's their decision. They're probably going to benefit from the impact of this TOT tax in the city of Hollister anyway. I would like for them to step forward. I would like the county to step up and say, hey, we need to do this. We need to increase the TOT tax to 10 or 12% or whatever that number is that folks support. But before we do that, my biggest concern is public perception. So, you know, talking to folks in the community and speaking to folks in the industry, they have concerns. You know, obviously they have concerns with raising the TOT tax. They have concerns, you know, afterward too. So, you know, say the TOT tax would be increased. Well, what's going to happen with that money afterward? And I think it's time that, as a city, that we put in, that we put our money where our mouth is. You know, if we're going to step forward and say, hey, we need to increase the TOT, we need to raise it to 10, 12, 15%, whatever that number is, we need to do our share. And I understand it's not a ton of money. I mean, you look at 8%, you're looking at, you know, 100 and a quarter. You know, it's not a ton of money when you're talking about a government agency. But it's a starting point. It's somewhere where we could actually, it's money that we could actually use to get something kick-started. I wasn't aware of our tourism website, Billy, so thank you for bringing that to my attention. I actually did not know we had something like that. I don't know why this is the first time I'm hearing of it, but I'm happy to hear that. You know, that's a good starting point. But I truly believe that if we want the residents to support anything like this, we need to move forward with a professional marketing plan for the city of Hollister, using a portion of this of the current 8% that we have. If you want to have discussions on raising the TOT tax, that's fine. I'm open to those discussions. Eventually, I want to get there, but we need to let these business owners know that we're going to do the right thing, because if we say plain and simple today, hey, let's put it on the ballot, let's raise the TOT tax, and we'll use that 2 or 4% for tourism purposes, why would they believe us? You know, I mean, I don't know. I rarely trust the government, but you know, I think that we need to stand up and say, hey, let's do our part. We're already generating revenue for this. Do I think all of it should be dedicated to tourism? No, because I think a portion of it is needed for those services. When somebody stays in a hotel room, we probably get police services, fire services, whatever. So a portion of the money is needed for general fund expenditures. But at the same time, as a businessman, I could tell you, if you cut off your advertising, you're pretty much shooting yourself in the foot. So we need to advertise our community. We need to advertise our events that we have here, the biker rally, the air show. We benefit from the Pinnacles, from Hollister Hills, from the wineries, from the Mission, from the golf courses. We benefit from all of these things, even though they're in the county. So if the county doesn't want to step up and do something, well, so be it. But as a city of Hollister, you know, we had the county here telling us that we should adopt an ordinance that the county hasn't even adopted yet. You know, so I feel like the city of Hollister, we are the leaders, the government leaders in this community, and we definitely have to take the initiative to get some of this stuff done. So I appreciate you guys agendizing this item for discussion. I'm hoping that I could have support from from the mayor and my fellow council members to be able to provide a portion of this, whether it's 4% of it, 65,000, 2% of it, 30,000, to at least look into and send out an RFP for proposals for a marketing contract for the city and start promoting our city. You know, Mary was out there and lobbying for the city of Hollister, and you know, we need more of that here. Because ultimately, we're the ones that are going to benefit anyway. If they're going to stay here, if we're using money to promote our community, and they're going to come here, they're going to buy something here. And eventually, our general fund will, these $60,000, $70,000 that we may use, we're going to get it back anyway in sales tax revenue. So it's just an investment into our community to create jobs, to bring more dollars here to our local community. And as I've stated before, you know, working for the city of San Jose, I rarely hear San Benito County mentioned. I think I had a conversation with somebody earlier. I think it may have been Greg, or I was talking to a few folks today. And, you know, when I tell people working up in San Jose, hey, I live in Hollister, they're like, oh, that's that town over there in the valley, right? Santanella, like that area. And I'm like, you know, we're not that far away. And we're a lot more attractive than the Central Valley, so no disrespect. But there's more than tumbleweeds here. So, you know, I think that we need to take the initiative, and if San Benito County wants to play follow the leader, I hope they do. But we definitely need to take the initiative and get something done. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely. Councilmember Valdivia, any questions for
No,
Councilmember Gomez?
I think it's a wonderful idea. And again, you know, if the county would also step up, and there's something that you guys can discuss in your meeting.
Yep.
But if the city has to be the spearhead to get it going, so be it. And
I-
support it wholeheartedly.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I do want to mention another thing too, and having a conversation with a few people, a few key business folks in the community. You know, I did get some feedback from other folks that live here and work elsewhere, and you know, that just for example, and Pinnacles isn't our only attraction. You know, I know that we definitely need to leverage off of that, but you know, just for an example, our friends, the city of Soledad, already went through this. So back in June, they supported this exact same idea of providing of having somebody provide professional marketing services to their community, and they are spending the money to attract folks to the wineries that are even outside of the outskirts of the city of Soledad. So this has been done, and so I just wanted to share. You know, there are communities trying to get ahead of us. So
I agree. Councilmember Scutini, any questions?
I think Victor said it all. I got nothing else to add.
Okay. Councilmember Friend?
Well, as I said at the retreat, I think we're missing the boat. I agree with what Victor is saying, that a lot of things are happening in the last 6 months and then coming up that nobody outside the city knows about. In fact, most of the people in the city don't know about it. And we're not doing a service to the city by not advertising. So I agree with what Victor's saying. It's time, whether the county wants to get on board or not, that's not our problem. Our problem is we're going to advertise in City of Hollister. They got to drive through the county to get here. That's too bad. But we need to take the bull by the horns and step up and do this. So I agree with what the proposal is.
I agree, Councilmember Gomez, and so to give you an update on what's happening at intergovernmental, the county and the city have been talking about that number. Right now it looks like 12%, an increase to 12%. They're speaking with some of the hotel owners to see if they want to do it with the T-bid so that they tax themselves and they spend the money, or if not, we can move forward with the TOT to increase it to 12%, which would match San Juan Bautista. So obviously the increase on the city side is close to $60,000. The county, I forgot what that number was, but I think it came close to about $100,000 pulling the numbers together. And there you go there with the partnership, the impact we can make with $100,000 to the outside community to bring them to come visit us is a very important part, and we need to stay on top of this and go through the process to make it happen. And I think the county is willing to work along with us to make that happen. So I'd like to see this, to stay on top of it. Maybe I think we should work on it as a ad hoc committee for tourism, if we can arrange that maybe in a future meeting and have Councilmember Gomez lead the charge on tourism. We saw what Mary put together. I think that's a great plan. There's a lot of great ideas out there, and I know there's a lot of tourists that are be more than happy to come visit us. And even I wanted to thank the city for putting the new signs up, the National Park Highway, Pinnacles National Park Highway. I'm already hearing a lot about it. And at first people are like, why did they do that? But now they're, hey, it sounds kind of nice. And it does. We have a national park in our backyard, so we need to take advantage of it. So if we can maybe move forward in a future meeting to put together an ad hoc committee, tourism committee.
So just really quick, Mr. Mayor, I just want to clarify. There's two separate items here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm supportive of a tourism committee. I was hoping that you would do that because I have other stuff that I think we need to incorporate into this tourism committees. But I'm not a big committee guy unless work is actually getting done in these committees, because then it's just a waste of everybody's time. But there's two items here. Number one is the TOT tax, a proposed TOT tax increase. So we need to deal with that first. We need to deal with that, not necessarily first. But then the other one is the current 8% funding that we're receiving. Are we? Because we could make that decision now. So we can make that decision now. So we could have that agendized, bring it back, and talk about using. Maybe we can have staff look at what 2% would look like, what 4% would look like, get an idea of what a professional marketing services contract would cost us. I guess it would cost us whatever we want to spend. but maybe we could look at those figures and come back with a recommendation. I could work with you guys if that's okay with the mayor, and we could bring something back for that. Because that's a separate discussion that's separate from the TOT discussion.
Well,
that's why I want to make sure that, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to make sure we have that discussion because, I'm happy that in the intergovernmental committee those discussions are happening. I'm happy to hear that. But those discussions are, I think, to me, a little preliminary because I think the community and the business owners, those that are actually providing these hospitality services, need to understand that we are committed to the community, to bringing more tax dollars, tax revenue into the city of Hollister. So I think we need to make that. I think we need to do that first, is to commit to dedicating a portion of those funds for those services, and then have because like I said, they're two separate discussions. And I do want to throw in another thing too, is, and you've mentioned it before, Mr. Mayor, we need to now look at a way where we could offset some of the possible funds we could lose in the future when it comes to Measure E. You mentioned Measure E, and, obviously we still have 4 years left of it, but this is the time to, we don't need to always be focusing on the negative. We don't always have to be focusing on, oh my God, who's going to lose their job next? How about we focus on, increasing our revenues? I think that's one thing, one key element that we need to focus on, because then we're just going to be back in the same old boat in 4 years and having to deal with all this stuff. So like I said, there's two issues there. I want to bring back the first one as soon as we can, and then as you folks in the Intergovernmental Committee continue to have those discussions, whether it's 10 or 12%, that's fine. I'm excited that you guys are talking about that, but we need to take this one step at a time. So.
Well, my recommendation there was we can do it two different ways. We can obviously have a dollar amount and vote on it as a council, or come back from the committee. So not only once we approve it, you can recommend how to spend that money, because really it's about tourism in the future that's going to make the difference, and you're absolutely right. So I just want to make sure that somebody's leading the charge like yourself that has these ideas.
Yeah, I'd rather use a percentage, maybe last year's percentage. So say, hey, this is the percentage we received last year from TOT. I don't want to move forward with the flat rate, because we want to make sure that we adjust with revenues that are coming in with the tax. So,
okay, so we can bring that forward in a next meeting. So,
Mr. Mayor, if you're going to pick a committee, I would like to see you and Victor sit on that committee.
Right. Are we going to do the? Can we do the ad hoc committee now, or for the next agenda item on the future meetings? City Attorney, for the ad hoc, do we have to have that on the future agenda for Tourism Committee, or can we do that now?
Committee now.
Okay. I'd like to appoint an ad hoc committee for tourism. I'd like to have Victor in charge of it. I'd like to join him if the council.
That you want a motion for that?
Yes, we'd like a motion.
I'll make a motion that on the ad hoc committee would be Victor Gomez and Ignacio Vasquez as the mayor on that committee, and report back to us at next council meeting.
Okay. Is there a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you very much.
do we have any speaker cards on
We'll do
this?
that. We do.
Marty Richmond from Hollister. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Well, I support the thing in general. I think we've got it a little upside down here. And I'm a big supporter of business, and I'm a big supporter of tourism. You've heard me speak on these issues many times. But look, the people in this city have put up a lot of money to get the hotel business operating here. When you take a look at how much we put into the rallies over the decades, that's a lot of money. I think it's ridiculous that we're going to say, okay, let's give them a piece of that back. The right way to do this is to give them a choice and say, look, we'll be happy to do a T-bib for you. Now, forget about the county. I'm tired of waiting for the county. If you're going to wait for the county, you're going to hold your breath till you die, okay? I'm telling you, because they're not going anywhere. They can't agree on what time they're going to meet any particular day. So you need to say to the hotel owners, look, we're going to give you an opportunity here. We're either going to raise the TOT 4% and keep all the money, or you know what we're going to do? We'll give you an opportunity. We'll raise it 4%, and you can keep the money, and you can use your tourism business with it. That's what we ought to do. We should not cut back on what we've taken so far, and the reason is, I don't see them giving us a break. I mean, you know, we had the motorcycle rally, and they raised their rents to $200. And all I agree, we will eventually get the money back. You've heard me talk about the fact that you have to sell 8 times as much in sales taxes as you get in TOT. 8 times. We're not selling 8 times as much because we don't have the way to do it. So yes, I think the TOT, the fair TOT around here is 12%. And if you don't think that's fair, Wait till you see what they're going to charge you in Santa Clara to go see the 49ers play and stay in a motel in that district. You'll probably be paying 29%. That'll be my guess. I haven't seen the actual number, but my guess is going to be 29%. Probably their drinks are 18%, okay? So I think 8% is a bargain, and it should be 12%. But I don't think we need to keep that last 4%. We ought to give them an opportunity and say, if you really guys are really interested, guys and gals, and you all want to get together, and we'll collect the money for you and give it back to you, and you can use it for tourism with your own board and your own trustees, and you don't have to trust us to do anything, because you'll have the money. I think that's a terrific idea.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a terrific idea. We're going to make it easy for them. So they won't be paying that T-bib. The customers are going to be paying that T-bib, and that's the way it should be. So I think that's a great idea. But this business of just keeping it 8 and giving them 4 back doesn't make any sense to me. And thank you for your time. Sorry I was so late getting up and speaking. If I had done it earlier, you probably would have adopted all my ideas. Thank you very much.
And just so you're clear, that is a conversation that is going on right now with the hotels. They have a choice. So thank you.
You're also clear on my opinion on whether the county's ever going to do anything about anything.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's move forward to item H, I, J, and K. There's no business.
No business. Make a motion that we adjourn.
There's a motion. Is there a second for adjournment?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I think Councilmember Scatini wanted to adjourn in memory of Jerry Gabe tonight.
Yes, he did.
Yes, I did. Yes, I apologize. Yeah, I'd like to adjourn this meeting in honor of Jerry Gabe, a longtime Hollister friend and a personal friend, and a great guy at the airport that did a lot for the city. In fact, one of the most important persons at that airport, and he had a lot of heart for the city. And I'd like to adjourn in his memory.
Okay, we have a,
And I,
Just, Mr. George, I know this is
I
out of
approve
order,
the
but
amendment.
please, would you please ask the city clerk on behalf to send a copy of that little note by Councilman Scatini to Mr. Gabe's wife, who lives in the community?
We do that
Yes, we do.
automatically.
Yes.
You do that.
Thank you so much. I did not know that.
and I approve this amendment to the motion.
okay.
Thank you, Marty. I appreciate that
Okay, we-
comment.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0 vote. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming out tonight.